Hello students. Our first chapter is the living world. In that living world, we have seen the difference between the living and non-living things. Exactly what is the dissimilarities between the living and non-living things. After that, about the living things, we call the life. That life having the some basic principles. In that basic principles, we have completed the metabolism is one of the important basic principle. In this principle, there is the breaking of molecules and formation of new molecules both occurred, that is called the metabolism. That is very important for the energy obtaining. After getting the energy, that organism can survive. That point we have seen. Then growth and development, that is also the very important for the life of any organism. Growth and development takes place in animals and plants from inside, from our body, from inside there is the growth takes place for the living organism. And about the non-living things, that growth takes place from the outside. The example is the sand mound, or we call the boulders. This is about the growth and development. After the organisms are produced, there is the development and growth. As the growth and development, that is the unlimited time span, means that is not in a limited period. That growth and development cannot be completed in a limited period. It is an unlimited time span. Okay, then at a certain point, the molecules, organs, systems begins to lose their effective working and become old. After formation of any molecule, organs and system, they lose their effectivity, they lose their working ability, and they become old. Like us, our body grows, our body develops from the child to young to the old, means there is the effective of our cell, they goes the decreasing, their working is the decreasing. We generally say there is the baby, that baby develops into the child one, that is childhood, we call the childhood. That childhood develops into the young person. Then there is that young person we call the adult. That adult become old. How the growth and development takes. Now here is the cells, tissue, molecules, they are very active, they can work very active. Again there is the activity increases, then again increases. After the adult stage completed, there is the old stage. At that old stage, our body cells, they do not showing the effective working and they become old. That is called the aging process. Means slowly the body of any organisms, they undergoes the aging. That is the important third biological process. Now fourth one is the life has to continue. Our life on this earth, that is the continue. Why? Because simply we tell that is the reproduction. Due to the reproduction, there is the life continue. Okay, and there is the continuity of race. All the species can continuously on the earth. Why? Because only the reproduction. Then reproduction, there are two types, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Some organisms follow the sexual reproduction, some organisms follow the asexual reproduction. They can maintain their species on the earth, but some of them organisms like the mule and sterile worker bees, and infertile couples, they are living but they cannot reproduce. There is no reproduction. Reproduction means there is no obtaining the offspring, there is no obtaining the young one, but they are living. Then the question asking to us, can we call the reproduction is an inclusive property for living organism? That answer is the yes. That is the inclusive property or inclusive principle for the living organism. But some organism, that is exceptional cases, these are the livings but they do not show the reproduction. These are the living, they do not show the reproduction. Okay, as the body loses its capacity to perform the metabolism, then that body undergoes the death. There is a dying that organism. If there is no metabolism, then we cannot get the energy. If we cannot get the energy, then there is no activity. So that time that organism undergoes the death. And last basic principle, sensation to the surrounding environment. Our body, they can stimulate, they can respond to the surrounding nature. They can respond to the thermal, they can respond to the chemical, they can respond to the biological changes in the surrounding environment. This is the unique property of living organism. This one, sensation to the surrounding. Sensation to the surrounding means what? Our living organisms can give response to the environmental changes. Whatever changes takes place in the environment, that changes can given response by that organism. If there is a high temperature, organism respond that high temperature. If there is a chemical changes in the environment, organism can respond. If there is a biological changes in the environment, organisms can respond. Means responsibility means they showing the sensation to the surrounding. Means if any atmospheric changes occur, then organisms can respond that atmospheric changes. These are all the basic principles of life. And in your exam they may be asked to give the basic principles of life, then you have to write this answer. Okay, then the biodiversity, or we just call the diversity point. In diversity there is a living, non-living things are present, they can interact with each other. Already in previous video I told you that living and non-living interact, that we call the ecology, the definition of ecology. On the earth there is the number of living organisms and their factors, that is responsibility. So we have to study the living organism. Then how can we study that living organism? Number of living organisms are present, okay, then how can we study? So there is the one of the branch in the science, there is one of the branch to study the living organism, or to study the living organism. That branch we call the taxonomy. Taxonomy is the branch of science which deals with the study of classification of living organism. With the help of this branch we can classify the living organisms in a systematic way, and then we can study them. That is the branch of taxonomy. Remember, the taxonomy is a very important term. In next chapter we will see who discovered the taxonomy, what is the meaning of taxonomy. But remember that just it is used to classify living organisms, that is the taxonomy. Okay, with the help of taxonomy we can classify them. Then next, in this chapter we will learn about some basic helping parts to classify the living organism, that we called the taxonomic aids. Taxonomic aids. Taxonomic aids. Aids means what? Helps. Taxonomically helps. Taxonomically helps tools. Here are some tools which helps to classify the living organism. Near about 6 tools in your syllabus given. First one is the herbarium. Second one is given the botanical garden. Third one given the museums. All these things no very value. Then fourth one is the zoo park. Fifth one is the biodiversity park. And finally sixth one is the key. These are the taxonomic aids or taxonomic helps tools to classify the living organism. We can classify any living organism with the help of out of any tool we can classify them. Now these tools can be studied by one by one. First we will see the herbarium, second botanical garden, third museum, zoo park, biodiversity park, and the key. This is the our chapter. After completion of key, the chapter is completed. Now first one is the herbarium. This is the basic principle of life. That point we have completed. Now first herbarium. Herbarium, it is one of the taxonomic tool. It is one of the taxonomic tool. With the help of this tool, we can classify the plants. Now that herbarium, this word was first time coined by the scientist Pinton D. Turnford. This is the name of scientist. This Pinton D. Turnford coined what? Herbarium word. Herbarium word was coined by this scientist who? Pinton D. Turnford. Then next, the art of herbarium. While we are making the herbarium seed, that is the one of the skill. That skill was initiated by the Italian taxonomist that we called the Luca Guarini. This is the taxonomist. Taxonomist means this scientist can classify the living organism, so we called the taxonomist. And he initiated means started. Initiated means what? Started. What he started? The art of herbarium. Art of herbarium. That is the history of herbarium. Who first time coined this herbarium? It is Pinton D. Turnford. Then who first initiated means started this art of herbarium making? That is a Luca Guarini. Then it is a very effective tool in a taxonomic study. Why we are studying? What taxonomy? Taxonomy means what? There is the classifying the living organism study that can be effectively done by this herbarium. Then the definition of herbarium. I will erase this part. That is completed. Now the definition of herbarium. Here I will write the definition. Now what is the herbarium? It is an essential dried plant specimen. It is essential dried plant specimens. Remember, now what is it? It is essential dried plant specimens. We are taking the plant specimens. Plant specimens, that is the one of the part of the plant, like a leaf, flower, seed. We can take and dry them, and that can be preserved one. We call that is the herbarium. Now this can be performed by the steps. First we are collecting that part, then dried them, means removing that moisture by using the different techniques. Then we are treating that part to stick on the any paper sheet, and that is the herbarium seed. Now first it is the essential dried plant species. Then next point, that is the pressed. This plant specimen is pressed, treated, and mount. Mount means put on. Mount means put on. Where put on a standard what? Standard herbarium sheet. Standard herbarium sheet size. Standard size of sheet. This is the one of the paper particularly for making the herbarium sheet in order to preserve them. In order to preserve them. This is the definition of herbarium. Actually this is a very simple definition. First remember, it is essential dried plant specimen. This point remember that. And in next, that is the steps of that herbarium while we are making them. That is pressed, treated, mount on where? On standard size sheet. What is the purpose of that? That purpose to preserve the specimen, whatever we are taking the specimen, that can be preserved. This is the definition of herbarium. Now here are the 3 steps: pressed, treated and mount. Next, this herbarium seed, how can we prepare? Here I will show you how it is prepared. Suppose this is the one of the herbarium seed and the standard size is 42 centimeter length, their height, and 29 centimeter width. This is the one of the paper. Suppose this is the paper. Consider this is the paper of herbarium. This one is the paper of herbarium seed. Now this height, it is the 42 centimeter and this one is a 29 centimeter. Consider this is not a herbarium paper. Actually I am just showing to you what is the 49 into the 29, that is the size of that paper. Now in that, in the lower right corner, here in the lower right corner, there is the labeling. Now here is our specimen. Suppose here is the any leaf plant. That can be pressed and mounted, and the labeling here, in that labeling, first collection date. Here are some in this labeling there is a collection date, on which date we can collect this specimen. Second important feature, place of collection, from which place we can collect this, any forest, any farm, whatever we can collect, that can be also mentioned in that labeling. Then their classification of this leaf, from which plants or plant species, their classification, ecological features, local name, scientific name, all these are written in this lower right corner, and that we called it is the labeling. This is the making of the herbarium seed. Actually this herbarium seed, it is of 3 types. We can make 3 types: national herbarium seed, types of herbarium; second, local herbarium seed; and third, special herbarium seed. These are the 3 types of the herbarium seed we can prepare. Now then, what is the role of this herbarium? Herbarium's role काय? That is the accurate identification of plants, first role. Second, to understand or to study the anatomy of the plant. That is the role. That is the 2 important role. Remember that one. First one is the accurate identification of plant. Second one is to study the anatomy. This is about the herbarium. In our India, there is the largest herbarium in our India. Then you may find them where it is the largest herbarium. Okay, thank you.